Hi, Kelly Tobey here. Thanks for joining me today. Today the theme was around opening the gateways to intimacy. And my belief is that it's quite natural for us to be intimate and to open to receiving intimacy from other people. And I'm talking about intimacy in the broad sense. Sometimes people associate intimacy directly with sexuality, but sexuality is just one form of intimacy. I'm referring to any kind of connection, loving connection that we have with other people, and that might be emotional, it might be mental, it may be physical. So given that there's a place in us that naturally wants to open to intimacy, the question would come to the surface of why is it that sometimes we don't have as much intimacy as we might appreciate in our life? Why is it that sometimes we might feel blocked to connecting with another person? Now, it's easy sometimes to think that we're lacking intimacy in our relationship because of the other person, that we might believe that they're the ones that's closed, they're the ones that are holding back. But I would suggest that it'd be useful for us to look at ourselves and see if we've attracted in the kind of person that's somewhat closed because of our own fears of intimacy. Because if we were to be accountable, we might look and find that as we open and are less fearful of intimacy ourselves, that we attract that opening in the people that are around us as well. And it may or may not be that the people around us are somewhat closed to intimacy, but where we have the power to make the change is to work with our own resistance to intimacy and look at that. Now, one of the things that can hold us back from opening to more intimacy and more connection is memories of places where we've opened before, allowed ourselves to love fully, to connect fully, and then that relationship ended for some reason, whether the person left or the person died or for whatever reason that connection was ended. And so when we feel the beauty of that open-hearted, intimate connection with other people, it feels so good, and then to have that end will typically bring up levels of grief in us. Now, if we're not open and comfortable with fully allowing ourselves to grieve losses, then there can be a tendency to prematurely shut down the process of grieving and releasing those feelings around those past relationships and past intimate connections. So what happens is, what sits in our subconscious is this fear that if we allow ourselves in the present to connect deeply with a person, to open with more intimacy, that we'll have that sweet connection again, but the fear is that it'll get taken away again, and that it'll bring up feelings of grief or sorrow or hurt. And given that we weren't fully able to face those feelings in the earlier rounds when we got when that intimacy was taken away for whatever reason, then there's a place where we won't have the knowing that we can face our grief, walk through our grief, feel our way through our grief, come out the other side, and that we'll actually be okay. Because when we really get that it's okay to feel our grief, and we fully express it, then it opens up space in us to know that we can risk loving again, risk deepening our intimacy again, because even if we lose that, yes, there'll be grief again, but we know that we can handle that grief and we can move through that, so we don't have to be afraid of opening our hearts in this moment. So this is a subject that we'll be going into in more depth, and if you want to come out on a Wednesday night to our Expanding Heartfelt Living, we'll be touching on this subject more on April 6th. It's the date. It's a Wednesday evening here in Calgary. If you happen to be in this area, feel free to come and join us for the drop-in group. If you're not, I hope that some of the information today was of use to you, and I'll continue to give you little tastes of the subjects that we'll be going into on the Wednesday nights. So watch for upcoming videos, and I hope to see you again. Okay, bye for now.